I hope to go to the floor as well, so I keep it very brief. But on the other hand, I have respect for all the comments, so I would like to make some short replies. The last, let me start with Marco and then go back via T to Catherine. Yeah, we can identify these feedback loops, and which is what, for example, CTA traders are doing. Those are people who are just triggering, looking at how some positive feedback loops emerge, and then they take the ride and they step out. And that's one of the few, I think, traders that do understand how markets work and make money out of it. So yes, we can trace them. So economists can also do the same, and they are doing this. And I'm not against models, don't get me wrong. But then try to, if we do make these models, try to get these positive feedback loops in, for example, as you mentioned yourself. And then that's what Carl Sommers, for example, tries to do, and you as well. And try to get that in, like Dirk Bezemer is always telling everyone, why is that not in the models? And the behavior that comes with private debt, which change people's behavior. And that's so important if you want to understand what's happening after the crisis. If you see that people are surprised about financial markets or about the economy not recovering, well, many of these macroeconomic models won't tell you, because the behavior changed after the crisis because of private debt and people having their mortgage higher than the house value and things like that. So there's a lot of behavioral change going on, and that needs to be in the models, how difficult it is. But that's what I think the behavior of positive feedback loops and the reaction to that are two of the most important things in finance and in economics, and that are not really captured. Of course, people try to capture them, but not in mainstream. Going back to T then, well, thank you for the 20 euros. I will collect them after after this session. And of course, reflexivity and then positive feedback loops. I didn't mention it in this film because I want the film to be very for lay people, but that's exactly what we try to explain. So, and we did try to get George Soros in, again, not a woman, by the way, but he had a stroke at that time, so when we were filming, and so we couldn't get him in. And within the recourse and non-recourse, I think that is one of the solutions, that to make a hybrid between banks taking part of the risk and people at home having, so your hybrid solution, I read about it several times, I think it does make sense. And then to Catherine, thank you for your comments. I totally agree the film is incomplete, totally agree, and that's deliberate, because I'm a financial markets guy, and I wanted to explain how financial markets show behavior of lower volatility when risks get higher, and that's to me the main point. That's still not understood. That's still not it's not being taught at schools. I haven't found a fundamental course where people from the start are explained how the first lesson when they go to school, they say, well, when demand goes up in financial assets, then when the prices go up and they go up for a long time, then the demand will go up as well. We all get still these demand curves which were downward sloping, and that's what we get taught. And it's still not in the mainstream economic courses that we have these positive feedback loops. It's still not in the courses what the role of debt is in finance. And now I'm mixing up your comments about the education. But oh, there's the phone again. With education, if you say you don't recognize it, but I'm traveling around, for example, talking to the INET students in around New York and in the Rethinking Economics in the UK, and they all tell me the same thing. They are not the fundamental part of their curriculum is about equilibrium, is about models where supply and demand curves simply are given and don't change over time. People's behavior doesn't change over time. They all feel the same as I did when I did. Maybe I was at the wrong university in Tilburg in the Netherlands, but Rotterdam was the same, with Chicago at the Maas. But I do think things change. I think before my time, let's say in the 60s and 70s, there was much more diversity at the universities than in the 80s and 90s. So gradually this whole, let's call it, without denouncing the person, but the Friedman ideology and the whole belief in mathematics and in equilibrium and the abstraction of that and human behavior, and that was the period where I was raised, and all the people I work with in the banking sector, they all believed in these models. And I mean, it's the law to measure volatility as a measure of risk. I mean, that's what we get taught. And to me, that's terrible. That really makes me angry. I mean, that's what we see. And it's so misleading that as long as that's not finished and changed at all the universities in the world, I will make maybe an exaggerated statement that we have the wrong education or not diverse enough. So that's of course I exaggerate a little bit, or I can blame John Cusack for exaggerating, but I'm also teaching, but I try to be as diverse as possible, and I hope we will move in that direction. I think we are moving in the right direction. So that's my main comment.